Time to tell it like it is.
What's up, YouTube? Got a couple more things to talk about today. Wow, it's always something going on. And this is all local news. If I'm not mistaken, these couple things that I want to speak about, if I'm not mistaken, they both took place in Baltimore. The 7-year-old in Baltimore City, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, in Baltimore City, where this kid was a 7-year-old that details are not all too clear, but he was being disruptive in class, and he was taken by the teacher's aide, or whoever this 25-year-old guy was, supposed to be taking him to the principal's office or something like that, because he's being disruptive, and he never made it to the principal's office. He ended up with cuts and bruises, a broken jaw, and several missing teeth is what it said, which is just horrible. I think I'm going to speak about that first, because the things I want to say about this other situation probably will have people cutting the video off. Go and look at my video, watch my video. It's titled Disciplinary Action. Disciplinary Action. This is something I spoke about before. Physically disciplining your children. I'm not understanding why so many people argue this shit. They want to argue this. They want to fight me on this, or fight anybody on this. The fact that it's necessary to physically discipline your child. Oh, well, I don't beat my child with belts and extension cords and anything. I just take my hand. It doesn't fucking matter. Any form of physical discipline at all, it is wrong, and people want to continue to argue this shit. How this relates to this situation with this little boy? Let me first explain something to you. Me being a parent and thinking, it hurts my heart that this child has to go through this pain, that this child had to suffer this way. It doesn't matter if the child was being unruly, if the child was resisting and fighting back, or throwing a tantrum. It doesn't matter. Child doesn't deserve to be treated like that. If this was my son, now I'm not gonna go to the extreme with it like some people probably would. I wouldn't want to kill this man, wouldn't want to lose his life. But this is my son. This is a child, not a grown-ass person. I would think he deserves to hurt far worse than my son did. If this was my son, then my son he would have to suffer more pain than my son did for me to be satisfied. I'm sorry. I may not think it's necessary to go as far as taking his life, but I would probably want to try to hunt this guy down. To my dying day, I'll be looking for this guy. And I would not feel satisfied until this motherfucker was tortured. He would have to be tortured. That's just my personal feelings. Y'all feel however you want to feel. That's my personal feelings. Now, again, the details aren't too clear. This kid was acting out for some reason. They thought it was necessary for whatever reason to remove him from the class and take him to the principal's office. And at some point, I'm just going off of the video that I watched from the little news clip, and they didn't give much details. Maybe since then they've already, I'm not going to look for it right now, but maybe they've already given some more details or information about that. But I'm just speaking on what I've learned so far, what I've heard so far. Now, this little boy, at some point apparently it was necessary for this 25-year-old guy to throw him up on his shoulder. Perhaps he was falling out on the floor. He might have been throwing a tantrum or something. Who knows? He might have been punching him or hitting him, fighting him back. He was just out of control. Who knows? They didn't give all these details. But it's still not necessary to respond by hurting a child in that way. Apparently at some point, things got out of control. Perhaps the child was not, I don't know. He felt it was necessary to throw him over his shoulder. He said when he put him down, he was hurt somehow, some bogus ass excuse. Then there's another reporter saying that the child was thrown into the wall or something like that. It doesn't matter how it happened, what happened. He was in the care of this 25-year-old, and he was negligent in how he was caring for this child. Whether he threw the child into the wall, whether the child was flailing around and he's fighting with the child, trying to put him on his shoulder and carry him to the principal's office. He fell off his shoulder on his face. Who knows? Who knows? We don't know the details right now. Most people are probably thinking that this guy intentionally hurt this child this way. If this child was acting out, he intentionally hurt this child this way because he was not happy about how this child was acting out. He was maybe a little irritated, pissed off. He was angry himself. He wasn't happy with how this child was acting out. Maybe the child was hitting him back. Like I said, maybe he was fighting him back or something like that. Who knows? Black people, We need to get it in our fucking heads that physical discipline of any kind, to any extent, is not at all necessary. It's not. My son is one of the most behaved he's one of the most behaved children you'll ever meet in your entire life. One of the smartest kids in his whole entire class. He's excelling in on every level. That is a fact. I have video from his school when he got his award to prove this. I have never once in my life physically disciplined my son. Never spanked him, never turned him over with a belt on his behind. None of that, ever. You talk to your children. I've seen children make mistakes. You spilled the milk. Yoked their ass up by the arm. Did not tell why the fuck it was a mistake. The child made a fucking mistake. They're children. They are growing. They are learning. They're going to make mistakes. Even when I was younger as a child, I knew something was wrong with that shit. My mother was one of those type of mothers that would beat you with any fucking thing. She would not hesitate. Even as a little child, I knew something was wrong with that. If it turns out that this guy actually did put his hands on this child, maybe punched this child or something, causing his jaw to be broken and all this to happen, if it is found out that that's how this happened, then guess who the fuck is to blame? The parents. Oh my God, the parents? How the fuck are the parents to blame? Yes, the parents are to blame, because I can bet anything that this motherfucker, if this is what he did, that this motherfucker was raised in a household where he was beaten. He was physically disciplined. You are teaching your children that when you don't get the results that you want, that to become violent, that it's necessary. And no one seems to think that something is wrong with that. Let me share something with you. I'm going to share something with you that someone sent me a link. And I think they know that they're familiar with my videos. They're familiar with different projects and things that I've been working on. They know how I feel. And they probably sent this to me because they know that it speaks a lot to what I say and how I feel. It's just listen to this. And I'm going to end it on that and go to this next part of the video. Just listen to this. I believe this was, I think the title on it was like The Young Turks or some shit like that. It's a white guy and a white chick that does this little radio show or TV show or something. And they were speaking on this situation with this little boy
being arrested. I also wanted to note that last week, President Obama and his administration released a statement about corporal punishment in schools. So we live in California. We don't have corporal punishment in schools. We don't allow it. But there are lots of states in the U.S. that do allow teachers to spank students, to hit students if they're misbehaving. And so Obama's like, we can't let this stand. We can't allow this type of physical discipline to be used within our school campuses. And a lot of people, as we've talked about before, believe that this is just American tradition. This is the way you discipline kids. What kind of message does it send to children when adults use a form of violence against them to discipline them? I mean, it sends a pretty bad message, especially when it's being done on a school campus by essentially strangers. I mean, I can't even imagine telling a teacher that it's okay to spank my kid. Like, a teacher lays a finger on my kid, and we're going to have some problems.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Teacher lays a finger on my child, and we are going to have some serious problems. Seriously, we're going to have some problems. Just as she stated, I feel exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. You're sending the wrong fucking message. You're teaching your kids that it is okay. How she actually put it, it seems like it has become tradition. Like it's perfectly normal for this to be happening in schools and different places everywhere. It's perfectly okay to beat your children, to inflict physical harm on your child as a form of discipline. This speaks to all people. We need to get over this shit. Get past this shit. Physical discipline is not at all necessary. If you do not know how to discipline, if you don't know how to discipline your child without beating the shit out of them, if you don't know how to discipline your child without resorting to any form of physical discipline, then you don't know how to raise your child. I wasn't even raised, majority of my childhood, I wasn't even raised like I am to my son now. The way I am with my son now, I was raised completely opposite. Like I said, my mom was one of the type that will beat the hell out of you with anything in a second. She wouldn't hesitate. I grew up to know that was wrong. Even as a child, way back then, I knew something was wrong with that, and I chose to change, to do different. My son is far smarter than I was when I was his age. My son is one of the greatest kids you could ever meet. I've never ever once had to beat anything into him. You sit and you talk with your children. Son, this is why I told you I don't want you to climb up on there. I love you, son. I don't want you to fall down and hurt yourself. Okay? This is why you don't go and snatch their ass down and start wailing on them, beating the hell out of them. Didn't I tell your ass? This is what I've seen people do all the fucking time. No explanation whatsoever. Talk to your children. Communicate. That's the most important. That's discipline. Communication. Correct communication. Good communication. That is the right way, the correct way to discipline your child. This is why I've been pushing this shit for so damn long. I truly believe, I know that this is the fix. This is what needs to be done to make everything right. You have to start from the beginning when they are just children. Do a great job raising your kids, the best job raising your kids, and they will grow up to be the best people. The best people possible. The best way to discipline your child is not physical discipline. Subscribe to change, subscribe to being better people.